let's go through the reteach for Learning Target 231, which was the only 3.0 that was on the quiz, and it talks about comparing slopes and talking about which is steepest or least steep. And so we have 3 linear representations, and the question asks us which of the following has the steepest slope. The first thing that I like to do is I like to figure out what does this mean so I know what I'm looking for, because sometimes it asks you for the steepest and sometimes it asks you for the least steep. Or we use like highest rate of change would be another synonym for steepest. And so I want to kind of figure out what this means. So this phrase, the steeper that we are, the further from 0. So steepest slope means the furthest from 0. If it was asking for the least steep, that would be the closest to 0. And so I like to make this little note to myself so that when I get my numbers, I don't really have to think too much. I can just go back up and be like, oh, whatever one's furthest from 0. So you need to be able to find the slope for every different kind of representation that you could see. So there's these 3 types. The only type that's not on here is a set of points. Like if I just said, 2, 1, and 3, 7. And I'll talk about those when I get here because they're almost exactly the same. So for a graph, we want to pick 2 points and count rise over run. So make sure your 2 points are on corners. And so I have those 2 points. And I'm going to count my rise and then my run. I'm going to start here. I almost always start with the point that's on the left, but I'm going to start here just so I can show you. For my rise, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And my run, I'm going to go left 1, 2, 3, which is negative. So my slope is positive 4 over negative 3. Now I know that I'm going to be comparing numbers in a second, and I don't really know how far that is from 0. I think it's easiest to make everything a decimal when you're comparing. If you are really good at comparing fractions, you might not need to do this, but for those of us who aren't that great at it, this would be a good thing. So just type in negative 4 over 3. And then you'll get your decimal, so negative 1.3 repeating. So this is the same as this. For an equation, it's just the m. So slope is just whatever number is in front of x, the m, which is this number. And again, I am not great at comparing fractions, so 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. So there's my second one. And for a set of points or a table, you do the same thing. You have to use your slope formula. For a set of points, you would just label them x1, y1, x2, y2. For a table, you want to pick your favorite, and then you can label them as well. So like this is a point, and this is a point, and this is a point. I'm going to use these ones because they're smaller than this. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. And you could rewrite these as points, like 2, negative 1, if that's easier for you. But then I want to plug them into my slope formula. So y2 is negative 4 minus y1 is negative 1. x2 is 4 minus x1 is 2. And so negative 4 minus negative 1 is negative 3. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So let's figure out what that is as a decimal. So I get negative 1.5. So I have my 3 slopes, and I'm looking for the steepest one, which I made this little note to myself, the furthest from 0. And so I'm imagining that I'm like at 0, and I'm taking little tiny steps and seeing which is the furthest. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, it just matters like how many steps away from 0 you are. And so the furthest from 0, the most steps I would have to take is 1.5. So you can see like 1.5 is just a little bit further than 1.3, which is a little bit further than 1.25. So I need to write a sentence to answer this. So I'm going to say the table is the steepest. And then sometimes we ask you for your reasoning. And so the reasoning always has to do with the distance from 0 every single time. So you can use the same reason every time. So the table is the steepest because its slope is the furthest from 0. And that's our answer. So you can go ahead and do the practice and then compare with the answer key. The questions don't specifically ask you for reasoning, but it'd be really helpful for you to practice the reasoning as well. I did that in the answer key, so you can see those too. Good luck.